Hi and welcome to this episode of On Maths. Today we're looking at the Edexcel November 2016 Paper 1 Foundation Prediction. Enjoy! Hi, I'm Chris Gilpin and welcome to this Foundation Prediction for next week's paper. All the stuff you see in this video are all online. The online question or the online paper changes the numbers, but the actual questions themselves are the same. So all the methods you learn from this video, you can go online onto onmaths.com and actually have a go at the question. It marks it for you and even grades it for you. So you can see if you practice and practice your improvement straight away. If you sign up, which is free, but you don't have to, if you sign up, it saves your scores so you can see where you need to improve and where you have improved in the past. We could go through the full paper in this video, so if there's bits you need or bits you don't need, you can actually fast forward or you can watch the whole thing again if you wish. And yeah, good luck for the exam next week. If you enjoy this video, please click like. If you really enjoy the videos and want to see a few more, please click subscribe. Thank you. If you'd like to pause the video now, please feel free. Otherwise, let's get started. So this question is about passengers on a train. So we're starting with 22. And we have 9 passengers that get off, and then 13 that get on. Now, another piece of information is it can only fit 60 passengers, and it asks us how many spaces are left on the train. Okay, so we start with 22, and then 9 get off. So 22 take away 9. Well, we could do 22 take away 10, which is 12, then add 1 on, which is 13. And then it says 13 people get on the train. So we've got 13 at the moment, and 13 people get on the train. Therefore, there are 26 people on the train. But it says how many spaces are left on the train. So it fits 60, and we've got 26 of the seats occupied. So we're going to take these away. I'm going to nick one off the 6. 10 take away 6 is 4. 5 take away 2 is 3. But if this is on the calculator exam, obviously you just use your calculator for this, but I get the answer of 34. Now on question B, it's got us a little table, and it gives us each of the days of the week, how many males and females there are, and it says there were more female passengers than male passengers across the week. How many more passengers? And there's 2 ways of doing this. Either what you can do is add up all the females and add up all the males and then compare them. Okay, so if we do that, we've got to do 16 plus 17 plus 15 plus 25 plus 22. So if this is in the calculator exam, I'm just going to type it into my calculator and I get 95. If it's not on the calculator exam, then you'll have to just sit there and add them up. And male 9 plus 20 plus 15 plus 15 plus 21, which is 80. And so what I want to do is compare the two. So I want to do 95 take away 80, which is going to be 15. So there are 15 more passengers. Now that's one way I could do it. Or what I could do is just compare each of the days. So if I have a look on Friday, there's 1 more female than male. If I have a look on Thursday, there are 10 more. Wednesday, it's the same. There were actually 3 more males on Tuesday, so that's sort of -3. And here there are 7 more females. So if I add those up, that's let's get my. So that is 1 plus 10, which is 11. 11 plus 7 is 18. And then take away the 3 gives me 15 as well. Okay, if you want to pause the video, please do so now. Otherwise, we'll zoom in, have a go at this question. So, let's zoom in. Okay, whenever you're working out a fraction or percentage of a shape, the first thing you've got to do is realise how much equal chunks have you got. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 equal chunks. So the bottom of a fraction is going to be 4. And then the next question you've got to ask is how many are shaded, or how many are we interested in? So we're interested in 1, 2 of those. So it's going to be 2 over 4 as a fraction, which if I halve top and bottom, I get 1 over 2. Next question is, well, what is that as a percentage? Because the question asked for a percentage. Well, I know that a half is 50%. A whole is 100%. Remember, if you say you're 100% certain of something, it means you're absolutely certain. So therefore, if you're half certain, you're half of 100, which is 50%. So let's do the next question. It says, what fraction of the shape is shaded? So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal chunks. So I know the bottom of the fraction will be 8. And the next question I'm going to answer is, how many are we interested in? How many are shaded? 1, 2, 3. So 3 are shaded. So it's going to be 3 over 8. 3 out of the 8 chunks. And I can't simplify that. 3 over 8. Right, the next question is shade in 1/5. Now this is quite tricky because we have 10 squares in total. But if we think about it, we actually have 5 of these sort of, say, larger square, or rectangles, I suppose, aren't they? So all I need to do is shade in one of those. Now don't spend forever trying to get the perfect shading. Something like this, although it looks rubbish, will still give you the mark. Okay, as long as you clearly identify which squares you want to shade. A different way of working that out is if you imagine 1 over 5, if you double top and bottom, it will become 2 over 10. So it's 2 of the 10 squares that we need to shade. Which are those? It doesn't matter which squares we chose to shade. Okay, on to the last question. We have 5 fractions there. We've got 4 over 10, 2 over 8, 5 over 20, 5 over 25, and 4 over 10. And we're asked, right, which ones of those, which 2 of those are equivalent, are the same as 1 over 4. So, first thing I'd do to answer this question is just figure out what is equivalent to a quarter. So let's times top and bottom by 2, and I get 2 over 8, which is actually this one here. So I know that 2 over 8 is equivalent to a quarter. Then I'm going to times top and bottom of 1 and 4, so 1 over 4, by 3. So it becomes 3 over 12. Let's have a look. There's no 3 over 12s there. So let's keep going. Let's times top and bottom of a quarter by 4. So it becomes 4 over 16. Let's check. Well, there's a 4 over 10. There's a couple of 4 over 10s for some reason. But there's no 4 over 16. Okay, let's times top and bottom by 5. So it becomes 5 over 20. And there we go. We've got a 5 over 20. So it's 2 over 8 and 5 over 20. Okay, so if you want to pause the video now, please feel free. Otherwise, let's get started. So the first function machine we have an input here, and the first thing we're doing is dividing by 2, then we're adding 3, and then that gives us the output. Now it says here that the input is 24, so we're first of all going to halve that. We're going to divide that by 2, which gives us 12, but then we're going to add 6, which gives us the output of 18. So the answer is 18. Now it's the same question on question B. We've got an input, we are taking away 2, and then we're doing something, and then we're getting an output. The input number is 20, and the output number we found out from the question is 56. So let's follow it through like we did on question A. We've got 20, and we're taking away 6, so that will give us 14. Next we've got to figure out how we get from 14 to 56. Now there are 2 ways that we can do this. The selection box, the drop down, only gives us a choice of one of them. We could add 42, and on the exam, if you wrote plus 42 if you weren't given a selection, that would be absolutely fine. But the option isn't plus 42 there, but it does have a times 4 option. So let's try that. 14 times 4, So let's just do 14 times 4 to make sure that it works. So let's do my little grid. So 14 is 10 and 4 times 4. So 4 times 4 is 16. 10 times 4 is 40. Add the two together and you get 56. So we know that that's right. So either of those answers in the exam would be fine, but if you were given a choice, which you are on the website, then the answer will be times 4. Okay, if you want to pause the video now, please feel free. Otherwise, let's get started. So this question A is actually a little bit more confusing, a little bit harder than you might think when you first read it. So we've got a bag of apples and they weigh 30 kilograms. Now that's too heavy for us to carry, so we put some of those apples into another bag and some of them stay in the original bag. Now we're asked to find out the weight of the smaller bag, but we only know a few things. We only know that first of all this bag here is 12 kilograms heavier, but we also know that we've only bought 30 kilograms of apples, so all of those two bags must add up to 30 kilograms. So we could use algebra here, and I know algebra is a little bit scary, but if we put the amount of apples, the weight of the apples in the smaller bag as x, and then we can write an expression for the bigger bag, we could say it's x plus 12. So if we work that out, we know that the two weights of the bags, the x and the x plus 12, have to equal 30 because we've bought 30 kilograms of apples. Then if we try and solve that, okay, so x plus x is 2x. Then if we take away 12 both sides, so 2x equals 30 take away 12, so 30 take away 10 is 20, take away 2 is 18. And then we halve both sides, so we divide both sides by 2, we get x equals 9. So the weight of the smaller bag is 9. Now if you think about it, 9 for the smaller bag plus 9 plus 12, okay, because it's 12 kilograms heavier, so 9 plus 12 is going to be 21. 21 plus 9 is 30 kilograms. Okay, so that question's not as easy as it first looked, but you can work it out quite quickly with algebra. Now you could sit there and just guess numbers, so you could just guess a long list of numbers and see whether they add up to 30, and you would still get the marks for that question. Right, and question B says he fills a different bag with 50 kilograms of bananas. Okay, so it's bananas now. He then puts some pears in the same bag. The total weight is now 120 pounds. And this is important here that it says pounds. What is the weight of the pears that he has just bought? Okay, so it's given us a conversion here to help us out. It tells us how many pounds there are in 1 kilogram. Now looking at the answer seems to want pounds. So the first thing we want to do is convert the 50 kilograms of bananas into pounds. So I need to work out what 50 kilograms is in pounds. So to get from 1 to 50, I need to times it by 50. So I need to times this by 50. Times by 50. So there's a few different ways of doing this, of doing 2.2 times 50. What I could do, and I probably will do it, is times it by 100 and then halve it, because that's the same as timesing by 50. If I times by 100 and then halve it. Or I could convert 2.2 into 22 and do 22 times 50. Okay, let's do that method. 22 times 50. And then I just need to remember to divide my answer by 10 because it's not 22, it's 2.2. So 20 and 2 and then 50. We don't need that bottom one. So 2 times 50 is 100. 2 times 5 is 10. The extra 2's. So that's going to be 1,100. And I need to remember to put the decimal point back in. So that's 110. So it's 110 pounds. Okay. Also, if I times it by 100, I'd get 220, and then halved it is 110. So it's £210, if I can fit that in. Okay, so the bananas are £110. It says the total of the weight of the bag is now £120. So therefore, I'm just going to do 120, take away 110, which leaves us £10. So the bananas actually cost £10. Actually weighed £10. Okay, if you want to pause the video, feel free. Otherwise, let's get started. So these questions look very much like BIDMAS stroke negative number questions. Okay, the most important thing we know about BIDMAS is it tells us to do the brackets, then any indices, which is like squares, square roots, then divide and multiply, and then addition and subtraction. So the important thing to do on each of these questions is realise what bit you have to do first. So it says 55 divided by 5. That's a divide. Then it says plus 7. So we've got to do the divide first. 55 divided by 5 is 11. Then we've got to add 7, which is going to be 18. Which we might as well write the answer straight in. On the next question, it's a bit of a gotcha, because we've got to do the multiply first. And then when we've done the multiply, then we'll do the 3 plus. So I'm going to just copy in that 3 plus, and I'm going to do 11 times 5, which is 55. Then I do 3 plus 55, which is 58. Okay, we've got to know our rules of negatives now. So the rules of negatives are, if we have a plus and a minus next to each other, the minus will win. So it's minus 7, take away 2. Now to do that, it's dead simple when you use a number line. Now it's absolutely fine to write a number line out. Okay, minus 7 is, let's say minus 7's here, and it's telling us to go take away 2. And when we take away, we go this way. When we add, we go this way. So I'm going to take away 2, so 1, 2. Where will I end up? Well, this is going to be minus 8, and I'll end up at minus 9. So the answer is going to be minus 9. Now the last rule, or another rule for negatives, is if you have two minuses together, it actually makes a plus. So 2 plus 15. Okay, easy way of remembering it is you make a plus by two minuses, just one on its side. Okay, so if you have two minuses, it will make a plus. Then when I do 2 plus 15, I will get the answer of 17. Thank you. Okay, if you want to have a go at this, pause the video now, otherwise let's get started. So, we've got shop A and shop B, and what I normally do in these questions is just divide my working out with shop A on the left and shop B on the right. It helps the examiner show what bit of working out I'm doing. Now, there's a few ways of answering this question. Okay, I will talk through a couple of the methods, but I'll only do one of them. So we've got amount of rulers, and we've got price, and we are told that we can have 3 rulers for £1.50. Okay, and I'll probably scribble that out and put 150 pence to make things easier. And we're told that we need to buy 75 rulers. So what I need to do is I need to times the 3 by something to get to 75. So how many packets of those 3 rulers will I need? So I could do 75 divided by 3, but I do know that 25 times 3 is 75. So I could times that by 25. And then all I need to do is times this price by 25, because if I'm buying 25 of those packets, then I'll need to pay 25 times more. And if you have a calculator, then that's fine, you can use that. Or I could just do a quick grid. So I'll do the grid over here, and I need to do 150 times the 25. I don't need that other one, so 150, so it's 150 times 25. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 100 is 500. 2 times 5 is 10. The 2 zeros. 2 times 1 is 2. 3 zeros. So it's going to be, looking at it, 3,750. So it's going to be 3,750 or £37.50. Okay. Right, we do the same for shop B. So we'll have rulers and price. Okay. So there are 5 rulers for £2 or 200 pence. And we need to figure out how to get to the 75. We're going to do the same on the other side. So 5 times what is 75? Well, I know 5 times 10 is 50, so 5 times 15 will be 75. So times that side by 15, so times that side by 15. And so I need to do 200 times 15. Well, I know 100 times 15 is going to be 1,500. So therefore 200 times 15 is going to be twice as big as that. So it would be 3,000 or £30. Okay, so which of those is cheaper? This one or this one? Shop A or shop B? Well, shop B is going to be cheaper. And if you read the question, it says, what is the cheapest price? So the cheapest price is going to be £30 because it's £30 and 0 pence. Now, a different way I could have done that is worked out the price of one ruler for each of those. Okay, and that would have worked. If you had a calculator to work out these numbers here, you could just do 75 divided by 3 and 75 divided by 5, and then you could have just done the same on the other side, and that would also work. This could be on the non-calculator or it could be on the calculator paper. If you'd like to pause the video now and have a go, otherwise let's get going. So, on the first one we've got algebra and a shape, a rectangle. One thing we need to know about rectangles is that the opposite sides of a rectangle are equal, and that's how we're going to solve this, because x plus 1 will equal 12. And we just need to solve that. So we're going to take away 1 both sides. So therefore we have x equals 11. If you think about it, all we need to do is figure out what number we add 1 to get to 12, which is going to be 11. Let's check it works on the other side. So we've got x plus 1 on the other side, 11 plus x minus 1 on the other side. So 11 take away 1 does equal 10, so we know it's the correct answer. With the next question, we've just got to remember the rules of a triangle, that all angles in a triangle add up to 180. So 3y plus 2y plus y will equal 180. So if we collect those like terms, put our lines down for an equal sign, we've got 3 plus 2 plus 1y, and remember y on its own is just 1y, so that gives us 6y, which equals 180. Now this 6 here is a times 6, so therefore we need to do divide by 6 to get rid of it. So y equals 180 divided by 6. Now I know 18 divided by 6 is 3, therefore 180 divided by 6 is 30. Okay, if you want to pause the video now and have a go, otherwise let's get started. So, the most important thing with this question is we understand what's going on. So she's costing a trip, so she's seeing how much the trip will cost. Now we've got 2 costs here. These 3 are all the same type of cost, they're just fixed. However, this cost here is going to be per person, and we are treating them very different. The price, so the only money she's making is the £20, and she sells 100 tickets. So, the most important thing with this question is that you lay out your working out very clearly, so that the examiner, the marker, knows exactly what you're doing. So if I say, first of all, ticket profit, I show the examiner that I'm looking at the profit for each of the tickets sold. So she has sells 100 tickets, and she makes £20 a ticket. So I want to do 100 times 20, which is going to be 2,000. So she's going to make £2,000. Okay. Now, if I work out the entrance fee, so all those 100 people are going to have to pay £16 for the entrance fee. Well, we're going to have to pay £16 on their behalf. So it's 100 times 16, which is 1,600. Then if I say other costs, I should say other costs, and it will be 150 for the transport, plus 50 for the food and drink, plus 70 for the other costs. So let's work that out. 150 plus 50 plus 70 is going to be 270. So she's going to make £2,000, but then she's going to have to pay out 1,600 and then another £270. So 2,000, take away 1,600, take away 270, and that leaves us with £130. So she's going to donate £130 to the school fund. Okay, if you want to pause the video now and have a go. Otherwise, let's get started. So we've got 1 kilogram of cheese costs £7.70, and we're asked to find out what 600 grams is. So first thing to realise is 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. And we're saying that that is 770 pence. And we need to get to 600 grams. Now there's a couple of ways of doing this. I would probably prefer to work out what 100 grams was, and then I can work out what 600 grams is. So to work out 100 grams, I divide by 10. That's why I picked 100, because it's nice and easy. So we're going to divide that by 10, which is 77. And then to get to 600 grams from 100 grams, I times by 6. So my answer will be whatever 77 times 6 is. Now I can do this with a grid. So it's 77 times 6. 6 times 7 is 42. Therefore that's going to be 420. And then add those together. So 420 plus 42 is going to be 462. So £4.62. Okay, that's one way of doing it. I could have gone straight from 1,000 to 600, and if I had a calculator I could work it out very quickly, because I would just do 600, which is this one here, okay, divided by 1,000, and that will tell me what I need to times it by. Okay, do that on my calculator, and it says times by 0.6, so I could just do the whole lot by doing 770, or 7.70, okay, £7.70, times that by the same 0.6, and I get £4.62. Okay, pause the video now if you want to have a go. Otherwise, let's get started. So, important thing to realise in this question is we need the triangle. And some teachers absolutely hate the triangle. I'm not one of those teachers. So the triangle tells us that speed equals distance over time. And the way this triangle works is you just cover up the one that you're trying to find, and it tells you that distance over time is speed. Or if we're looking for time, it's distance over speed. or if we're looking at distance, it's just speed times time. So it says, how far does Richard travel? So we're looking for the distance, so we're doing the speed times the time. Now it says that the speed is 50 miles per hour and the time is 6 hours. So all we need to do is 6 times 50, and 6 times 5 is 30, so 6 times 50 is 300 miles. So the answer would be 300 miles. Okay, this next one, it says that Richard drives 640 kilometres the next day. How much further has he travelled compared to the previous day? So obviously we have kilometres and we're asked for miles. So we've got to convert those kilometres into miles. So the first thing I do is have a look at what 5 miles is. And the question's been helpful and it's told us that it's 8 kilometres. So I'm now going to have to get from this 8 kilometres here, and I want to get to 640 kilometres. Now I can get to 64 by timesing 8 by 8, so to get there in total I need to times it by 80. Now I could do that on my calculator by doing 640 divided by 8, which also gives me 80. So if I'm timesing that side by 80, all I need to do is times this side by the same thing. So I need to do 5 times 80. Well, I know 5 times 8 is 40. So therefore that's going to be 400 kilometres. Okay, so 640, sorry, close, 400 miles. So 640 kilometres is equal to 400 miles. Now it's tempting to write 400, but remember we're comparing it to the previous day. He did 300 miles on the previous day, now he's done 400. So it's an extra 100 miles. Okay, so I'll pause the video now if you want to have a go. Otherwise, let's get started. So reading the question, we've got 20 biscuits and Fred wants 30. So the first step is to try and figure out how I'm going to get from 20 to 30. Now I could add 10, but proportion doesn't work that way. We're either going to times or divide. Now it doesn't seem like there's a nice easy number to get straight there. Well, those of you maybe out there thinking, well, you can times it by 1.5, and that's true. We can get that number by doing 30 divided by 20, and that's 1.5. However, if you don't know that it's going to be 1.5, you can actually do it in 2 steps. First thing I could do is divide it by 2, and that will get me 10. Then I can times it by 3, which will give me 30. So all I need to do is divide by 2, then times by 3. And I need to do that to each of these ingredients. So first of all, I'm going to be looking at the flour, which is this one here. And so I want to be doing 200 divided by 2, and then times by 3. Now I'm going to show the examiner that it's the flour I'm doing. 200 divided by 2 is 100, times by 3 is 300. So answer is going to be 300. So let's do the butter next. Okay, so let's have a look at the butter. This is 140, so 140 divided by 2 times by 3. Now half of 140 is going to be 70, and then times by 3, well 3 times 7 is 21, so 3 times 70 is 210. Okay, let's do the sugar next. Okay, so what's the sugar? The sugar is 100 grams, so it's 100 divided by 2 times by 3. And 100 divided by 2 is 50, times by 3 is 150, so it's going to be 150 grams. And lastly, the eggs. Okay, so let's have a look at the eggs. There's only 2 of them. Okay, so it's going to be 2 divided by 2 times by 3. 2 divided by 2 is 1, times by 3 is just 3. So we've got 3 eggs. Now, sometimes you do need to write the units, but these actually already give the units, so we don't need to worry about that. Okay, let's move on to the next question. So the next question says that he only has 1 kilogram of self-raising flour, but enough of all the other ingredients. So we assume he's got enough butter, sugar and eggs. What's the maximum amount of biscuits that James can make? Okay, so for this question, what we need to be thinking about is, first of all, what is 1 kilogram in grams? Because all of these ones are in grams, apart from the eggs, obviously. So 1 kilogram equals, kilo means 1,000, so it equals 1,000 grams. Okay, now we have to look at how much self-raising flour we've got. So we've got 200 grams of self-raising flour. So for one batch of ingredients, for one of these at the top, okay, for this we need 200. So we'll need 200 for one. For 2 batches of those ingredients, we need 400. For 3 batches, we need 600. For 4 batches, we need 800. And then for 5 batches, we need 1,000. And actually that is how much we've got. Okay, so how many biscuits does that 200 grams make? Well, it tells us here 20 biscuits, and we can do 5 lots of that recipe. So the answer is going to be 5 times that 20. Okay, so 5 times 20 is 100. Now it could, I think the ones on the website are not that easy. So when you just do the times table, you stop when you get the biggest number that doesn't go above 1,000. And then whatever number you get there, you times by whatever the amount of biscuits the ingredients for. Okay, so if you want to pause the video now and have a go, otherwise let's get started. So, a nice scattergraph question. If I try and zoom in, would help. Okay, so first thing I always do is I always draw a line of best fit. So this will go down like that. And it doesn't matter if you're too precise, or it doesn't matter if you're not very precise. They're very lenient over line the best fits normally. Okay, so let's have a look. Describe the type of relationship between maths and history results. Okay, so it is clearly going to be negative. And the reason I know that is it goes downwards. So it goes downwards from left to right, therefore it's negative. So as maths results increase, history results decrease. There we go. Okay, let's have a look at the next question. So another student got 30 on their history test. Now always be careful to read which one they got 30 on. Okay, it's very easy just to assume it's the one at the bottom. Okay, but it's actually the history test. Estimate what they got on their maths test. So when it says estimate, they are willing to give a bit of leeway because everyone's probably got a different line of best fit. So let's just check 30. So let's go across from 30. Okay, and I go across until I hit my line of best fit. As soon as I hit my line of best fit, I then go downward. Let's try and get a bit better. There we go. And I think that's pretty much 30, maybe slightly more than 30, but I'm going to go for 30 for that. And there we go. Okay, so if you want to pause the video now and have a go, otherwise let's get going. So we have James has just received an electric bill, below is part of it. So his new reading is 3,900 and his old reading is 3,710. The important part is this price per unit. That's how much he gets charged per unit. So work out how much James needs to pay for his bill. So you only get charged with electric bills for the amount that you've actually used. So he started the month off on 3,710, and then the little ticker adds one on every unit he uses until at the end of the month, or quarter, or whatever this is done over, it then goes up to 3,900. So we first of all need to work out, well, how many units did he use? So we do 3,900 and we take away 3,710. This is non-calculator, so we have to do this without a calculator. So 0 take away 0 is going to be 0. Now you can't do 0 take away 1, so you're going to have to nick 1 off that 9, so that 9 turns into an 8. We carry 1 over, so we do 10 take away 1, which is 9. Okay, 8 take away 7, which is 1, and then 3 take away 3 is nothing. So he's used 190 units. Next thing we've got to do is work out, well, okay, he's used 190 units. How much money is that? Well, it's 9 pence a unit. So I could do this a number of different ways, but I'm going to use multiplication grid. Why not? Okay, and we'll need 3. So we're going to do 9, because that's the price per unit, times 190, and that's just 0. So we don't have to worry about that last box, because 0 times 9 is 0. So 9 times 9 is 81. So 9 times 90 is 810. 9 times 100 is 900. Okay, and then we need to add those together. So 900 plus 810 is going to be 9 plus 8 is 17. So that's 1,710 pence. So in pounds, the decimal point is going to go between the 7 and the 1. So it's going to be £17 and 10 pence. Thank you very much. Okay, so if you want to pause the video, do it now. Otherwise, let's get started. So I'm just going to zoom in on this so we can see it a little bit clearer. So the first one says expand. That means get rid of the brackets. Now I always do this with smiles and rainbows. You might have a different method. The smile tells us that we want to do 10 times the 3x. The rainbow tells us we've got to do 10 times the positive 2. So let's do the 10 times the 3x first. 10 times 3x, so 10 times 3 first is 30. And then we've just got that x. Then we're going to do the 10 times the positive 2, which is plus 20. That's going to be our answer. So 30x plus 20. Okay, this next one's harder because there's 2 sets of brackets. The first bit's easy, 10 times the 3x, 10 times the positive 2. Second bit is a bit of a gotcha. This number here outside the bracket is not a 5. It's a minus 5, and you have to treat it as a negative 5. So it's minus 5 times 4x, then minus 5, and again, a little bit of a gotcha here. This is not a 7, it's a minus 7. So it's minus 5 times negative 7. So, first thing we need to do is do the first set of brackets. So 10 times 3x is going to be 30x. And 10 times positive 2 is going to be 20. Now, minus 5 times positive 4x. A negative times a positive is always a negative. 5 times 4 is 20. And we've got that x. Now the next one, minus 5 times negative 7, is going to be 2 negatives that make a positive. So it's going to be a plus, and 5 times 7 is 35. Now we've got to be careful here because it says expand and simplify. So I'm going to have to look at my like terms. We've got a 30x and a negative 20x. and we have as numbers we've got a plus 20 and a plus 35. So when I do 30x take away 10x, I'm going to get take away 20x, I'm going to get 10x. And when I do 20 plus 35, I'm going to get 55. That's our answer. Okay, so the next one is expand and simplify quadratic, so double set of brackets. Now we can do smiles and rainbows still for this one. So if I wanted to, I could do a smile and a rainbow for the 11x, and a smile and a rainbow for the minus 2. That would work. It would be absolutely fine. What I could also do is something called FOIL, which tells us to do the first, outside, inside, and then last. Now the two first terms are going to be 11x and x. So 11x times x is going to be 11x squared. Now outside is the 11x and the 3 and the positive 3. So 11x times 3 is going to be 33x. The inside ones is a minus 2 and the x. So negative 2 times x is going to be negative 2x. And the last is the minus 2 and the 3. So negative times a positive is going to be a negative. And 2 times 3 is 6. Now normally, not always, but normally you'll be able to collect like terms with these two here. These are the ones that will collect together, okay? So look out for this. So our first answer is going to be just 11x squared. There's no other x squareds there for it to collect with. But we're going to do 33x take away 2x. So it's going to be plus 31x. Okay? And then we've just got the negative 6. And you can't make that answer any simpler. Now on the website you just do an @2 for the squared. Okay, now whenever we come to the word factorize, okay, we're always going to be putting it into brackets. Now looking at this looks like it's going to be a linear set of brackets, so just one set of brackets. And I always put the brackets out first. Okay, first thing I look at is the numbers. So 30 and 20, the biggest number in both those times table, the highest common factor of those is going to be 10. And then I look at the letters. We've got an a squared there, so that's got two lots of a times together, but this only has one lot of a. So the maximum I can divide out is going to be just a. Now let's do it. What I want to be thinking about when I do the brackets, the inside of the brackets, is what do I times 10a by to get to 30a squared? Well, let's do the number first. What do I times 10 by to get to 30? Well, I'm going to times it by 3. And what do I times a by to get to a squared? Well, it's just going to be a. Then I ask myself the same question in the next one. What do I times 10 by to get to 20? It's going to be 2. And what do I times a by to get to a? Well, nothing. Well, technically 1. But when I times the 2 by the 10a, I'll get 20a. And you can actually check your answer by doing smiles and rainbows on this. 10a times 3a is 30a squared. 10a times positive 2 is going to be 20a. So it works. So answer is going to be 10a brackets 3a plus 2. Okay, let's look at the last one and scroll down. Okay, this time we've got a quadratic, and the reason I know that is we've got a y squared, we've got a y term, and we've got a number term at the end. Okay, so the only difference here is I need two sets of brackets. Now the first two numbers or expressions in both the brackets is going to give us the y squared. So that's going to be y and y. Now to work out what these two numbers are going to be, I need two numbers that times together to make 28 and add together to make negative 11. Now clearly to make negative 11 we're going to have a negative there somewhere, but the only way we can have a negative to get that minus 11, but when we times them we get a positive, is if they're both negative. Now I'm just thinking, right, numbers that make they go into 28, so I could just do 28 here. So 1 times 28, so negative 1 times negative 28 is going to be minus 29, so that's not really that close. Negative 2 times negative 14, and that's going to be negative 16, so we're getting closer. What about negative 4 times negative 7? So we think 4 times 7 is 28, and negative 4 plus negative 7 is going to be negative 11. So the answer is going to be y minus 4, y minus 7. Now there are a few different methods to each of these questions, so if you've got a perfect method that you like using, stick with it and that's absolutely fine. Okay, pause the video now if you want to have a go before we get started, otherwise let's get going. So we are using indices here with letters, and we've just got to remember the rules, and the rule for this one is if they have the same base, and the base is the a, so it's the thing that you're doing the power to, and you're timesing them, then we just add the powers. If you think about it, this is going to be a times a times a times a times a times a 6 times, and this is going to be a times a times a blah 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 10 times. So altogether we are doing a to the power of 6 plus the 10. Okay, and so that's a to the power of 16. Okay, this next one, this set of rules here, this bracket means that we're doing this bracket to the power of 10. So we're doing m to the power of 5 10 times. Okay, so the rule is if you've got a bracket, you times them. So the rule for this one will be, the power will be 5 times 10. Okay, so it's m to the power of 50. And we've got quite a complicated one here, where we've got numbers, letters, all sorts in a fraction. Now fractions in maths just mean divide. So we're going to do the numbers first. So we're going to do the 72 and the 12. 72 divided by 12 is going to be 6. Okay, so just do your 12 times table until you get to 72, and it's 6. So next we're going to do the r, and it's just a little r there. Okay, at the top we have r to the power of 1, and at the bottom we have r to the power of 3. Now the rule is, when you're timesing you add them, but when you are dividing, which we are here, you take them away. So it's r to the power of 1 minus 3. Now 1 take away 3 is going to be minus 2. So it's r to the power of minus 2. Now the s's we do the same as we did the r's. So we've got s to the power of 10 and s to the power of 7. So it's s to the power of 10 divided by s to the power of 7. This seems a bit easier. So we're doing s to the power of 10 minus 7. So it's s to the power of 3. So we're going to have s to the power of 3. And you'd write your answer as 6 r to the power of minus 2 s to the power of 3. Now the important thing you realise in this question is to do everything individually. So do the numbers and each of the letters separately, and you should be fine. Okay, if you want to pause the video now, please feel free, otherwise let's get started. So these types of question, there will be a transformation, and what we've got to do is figure out what transformation it is. Now be careful here, it says single transformation, so you might be able to get there by multiple transformations, but you've got to pick one. So the first thing I do is think, well, has it got any bigger? No, they're exactly the same size. So it's not going to be an enlargement if it doesn't get any bigger or smaller. So it's not an enlargement. Then I think, well, has it flipped around at all? And if it hasn't flipped around at all, then it's not a rotation. And is this a mirror image of this? Well, no, it's exactly the same image, it's just moved. If that's the case, if it's exactly the same image and it's just moved, it's called a translation. And that's all you have to do for the first mark. Now, to get the second mark, you've got to figure out how it's translated. So always make sure that you know what letter you're starting at, and here it says we're starting at A and we're going to B. So pick a point on A. I always pick the top point, but it doesn't matter. And what you need to do is count how many times you jump to get to B, and we want to pick the same point on B, the one at the top. Okay, so I'm going to go left to right first, so I have to go 1, 2 left, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 jumps up. Now I can actually write that in what we call vector form. Now vector form is just a set of brackets, and at the top it's how far right you have to go, and at the bottom it's how far up you have to go. Now we had to go 4 up, so the one at the bottom is going to be 4, and we have to go -2 left. -2 right, because we've gone left. Now it's not always necessary, in fact very few times it's necessary to do it in vector form, in column vector form, but if you are asked, you know how to do it. Okay, so if you want to have a go at this, pause the video now, otherwise let's get started. So we've got quite an advanced problem here. So first thing to highlight is the fact that this is a square, and that the M is a midpoint. Okay, and I normally start these questions just writing down bits that I know. So I know that this one is going to be 28x, because it's a square, so it's going to be the same as this one. What else do I know? Well, if the bottom one is 28x, and this bit here is x, then this top bit's going to be 27x. Now if this M is the midpoint and it's 28x tall, then it's going to be 14x on top and 14x at the bottom. Okay, I think we're done. Now, instead of working out the area of the triangle, what I'm going to do instead is work out the area of these triangles here. So that one, this one, and this one, and then I'm going to work out the area of the square in total, and I'm just going to take them away. So sometimes you want to work out the bits you don't want and take it away from the total. So I'm going to write down area of square first. Okay, and I know I'm going to do 28, so I'll underline that. So I'm going to do 28x times 28x. Okay, let's do some working out then. So I want to do 28 times 28. Well, I'm going to do it up here. I've got a bit of space here. Okay. So 28, so 20 and 8. Don't worry about the x because we'll deal with those later. Times 28. So 8 times 8 is 64. 8 times 2 is 16. But 8 times 20 would be a 0 at the end. This is the same calculation. And then 2 times 2 is 4, and there's 2 zeros. So we need to add those up. So 400 plus 160 plus 160 plus 64. Okay, so that last column's going to be a 4. That's going to be 18, so carry the 1. 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's 784. Now we're going to do the x's now. X times x is x squared. So that's a lot, right? Now we're going to go through bit by bit and work out the area of the triangles. Okay, what I like to do normally is just label them just so I can have some sanity on it. So we're going to have triangle A first. Okay, triangle A. Now the area of triangle, okay, let's say area equals half times base times height. So I'm going to do 14 times 1 times a half. Or what I could do, which would be a bit easier, is if I just halve the 14 and make it 7, then it just makes it a little bit easier. So 7x times x, which is 7x squared. I'm going to do that for all of them. So I'm going to do triangle B next. Okay, so this time I'm going to halve, well, why not halve this one, because I know what that's going to be. So I'm going to do, so area equals, and I'm halving the 28x, so it's going to be 14x times 14x. Now I know 14 times 14 is 196, and you should know your square numbers up to 15. Okay, and it's x times x again, so it's x squared. Now let's do triangle C. Okay, now the triangle C I think is going to be the hardest one. Okay, let's look at which one I'm going to halve. And we might halve that one. Oh, it's green all of a sudden, right. So it's going to be 14x times 27x. So the area 14x times 27x. Now we'll do the same thing again as I did before. I'll do it underneath, why not? Ooh. Okay, so I'm going to do 14, so 10 and 4 times 27. Okay, so 4 times 7 is 28. 7 times 10 is 70, 4 times 20 is 80, and 20 times 10 is 200. So let's add them up. Okay, so the last one's going to be 8, it's going to be 15, 16, 17, and then add the 3. So that's going to be 378x squared. Okay, so we have the area of the square. Ooh, don't want to do that. So that should be 784x squared. We have the area of the square, which is here. Okay, and we have the area of the triangles here. So these are the area of the triangles. Now the triangle in the middle is the only bit remaining if we take away triangle A, B and C. So we want to take them away. So we're doing 784 and we're going to take away all the others added together. So let's add those together first. Might be a sensible thing to do. So 378, I'm going to ignore the x's, 196, okay, and we're going to add these together. Okay, so 8 plus 6 is 14. 14 plus 7 is going to be 21. 7 plus 9 is 16. Plus the 2 is 18. And 3 plus 1 is 4. Plus the 1 is 5. So 581 is the total. Oh, I'm not doing very well in this. 581. Let's write that again. 581 is the total of our triangles. So we want to take away 581. Okay. From the area of the square. So don't forget that this is the area of the square. Okay. And this is the area of the triangles we don't want. So 4 take away 1 is 3. 8 take away 8 is 0. 7 take away 5 is 2. So the answer is going to be 200 and 3x squared. Okay, pause the video now if you want to have a go. Otherwise, let's get started. So, first thing in this question is we realise we've got a probability table, and the blue is 0.5 chance of happening, the red is 0.1 chance of happening, the white is 0.1 chance of happening, and the yellow is missing. So chances are we're going to have to work out the yellow soon. Okay, but we don't at the moment because it says there's 600 counters in the box. So if there's 600 counters in the box and there's a 0.5 chance of a blue coming up, then that means, well, 0.5 is a half chance. So for there to be a half chance, there needs to be 300 counters. Now, if we were looking for 0.1, we would just divide it by 10. Okay, if we were looking for 0.2, we would divide it by 10 and double it. Okay, simple as that. So work out the probability that the counter will be yellow. Now, I know that all probabilities have to add up to 1. So the first thing I want to do is just add the probabilities that we've got together. And you don't need to do it like this, but I think it's a little bit easier. So 5, 6, 7. So we've got 0.7 so far. And we need to figure out how much more we need to add to 0.7 to get to 1. So 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, 1. So it's going to be 0.3. Okay, pause the video now if you want to have a go, otherwise let's get started. So, with these types of question, you're either going to be asked what's wrong with the question or what's wrong with the response section. Okay, I think here is quite clear that we're looking at what's wrong with the question rather than the response section. Let's have a look. Response section, let's check that there's no overlaps or gaps. So we have 0. We have more than 0, but less than £10. Equal or more than £10, but less than £20. Equal or more than £20. So there's no box that I can tick twice, or that I could, that I have an amount of money that I can't tick the box. However, looking at the question, how much money do you spend on crisps? Well, last week, this year, who knows? So the answer to this question is going to be no time frame. Now you can get the mark by saying that you don't specify, or it doesn't say when. It doesn't say last week, or it doesn't say last year. But the reason I say no time frame is it's what's going to be in the mark scheme, so you'll definitely get the right answer. Okay, if you want to pause the video now, please do so. Otherwise, let's get started. So let's go through the question and let's make sure we understand it. So the tiles that she buys, the packs of tiles it will cover 4 meters squared. She gets 25% off. The tiles are marked at £25.60 without her discount, and she has £100 to spend. And we've obviously got a trapezium here. And this is A, this is B, then this is the height here. And it's on its sides to make things a little bit more complicated. So we'll first of all look at A and B. The first thing you do with the trapezium, we can write down the formula. Area equals half A plus B H. This bit here is basically working out the average of A and B. So we can just do that in two ways. What number is halfway between 2.9 and 1.1? Okay, and a lot of you will be able to work that out. But let's follow the formula. So half, and we're doing 2.9 plus 1.1, and then we're timesing it by 10.5. We're doing half. 2.9 times 1.1 is going to, 2.9 plus 0.1 is going to be 3. So 3 plus 1 is 4. Times 10.5, and then half of 4 is 2 times 10.5, which is going to equal, well, 2 times 10 is 20, 2 times a half is 1, so it's going to be 21. So there's 21 meters squared of floor to cover. Okay, so we know how much floor there is to cover, which is this one here. Okay. Now the next bit we've got to do is work out, well, how much does she pay? So in pence, and we can do this in pence, so I'm going to do price, show the examiner what I'm doing, and in pence it's 2,560, and we're going to halve that, so I'm going to divide that by 2. So 560, so 500 divided by 2 is 250, 60 divided by 2 is 30, so that's going to be 280, and then half of 2 is 1. And we're going to divide it by 2 again, and that this time half of 1,200 is going to be 600, and half of 80 is going to be 40. We could have done that a different way. I can show you a different way you could do that. So you could have said 4s into 2560. 4s into 2 don't go, so carry the 2 across. 4s into 25, it goes 6, carry the 1. 4s into 16 go 4, and then 4s into 0 go. So it's the same answer. So she's going to get £6.40 or 640 pence off, but that's not how much she pays, because she gets that money off. So we could do this in one of two ways. We could add together these two values, not that one, these two here, let's show you here, these two here, so that 1,280 is half of it, and 640 is a quarter, and a half plus a quarter is 3/4. Or I could just take away 640 from 2,560. So 2,560, take away the quarter, okay, and 0 take away 0 is 0, 6 take away 4 is 2, can't do that, so we're going to have to nick one off the 2, 15 take away 6 is 9, 1 take away nothing is 1. So she's going to pay 1,920. So that's how much money she's going to pay, and that's in pence. Okay, so we've got somewhere. Now she needs 21 meters squared, and each time she buys 4. So packets, I could say here, packs. We'll work out how many packs she needs. So if she buys 1 pack, it's 4. If she buys 2 packs, it's 8. 3 packs would be 12. 4 packs would be 16. 5 packs would be 20. Now she was almost there. Remember, she needs 21, but she'll need to buy another pack because I don't like you taking some out of a pack. So she needs to buy 6 packs. Okay, so 6 packs. Okay, so she needs to buy 6 packs, and she's paying 1,920 pence for each pack. So let's say total cost. So she's buying 6 packs, and it's priced at £19.20 a pack. Okay, so I'm going to do my grids. So we're going to have 6, and we have quite a long grid. Okay, so we're doing 6 times 1,920. Don't need that last one. So 6 times 1,000 is 6,000. 6 times 9 is going to be 54, and the 2 zeros at the end of the 900, and 6 times 2 is 12, with the 0 at the end of the 20. So we need to add these up. So 0 plus 0 plus 0 is nothing. Then we've got 2, then we've got 5, then we've got 11. So the cost, the total cost, is going to be this number here. But we're still not done yet. She says that she's got £100, and the question is, how much more does she need? So to finish this off, okay, we need to do the amount it costs, which is this number here. Oh, this number here. Okay, and then we're going to take away the £100 or 10,000 pence that she has already got. So 0 take away 0 is 0. Take away 2. This is going to be nice and easy. So £15 and 20 pence. It wants it in pence, so it's going to be 15.20. So quite a long question. I hope you followed. If not, just leave a comment and I'll go through back through any areas that you have difficulty. If you want to pause the video, please do so now. Otherwise, let's get started. So we've had a similar question to this before. We've got a shape inside another shape, and we've got to find an area of a bit at the side. Well, that's not a shape that we're going to find the area of. So what we want to do is work out the area of the whole square, take away the circle, and we know that these three other ones here are going to be equal. So we're just going to divide our answer by 4. So we're going to start off by working out the area of square. Area of square first. The area of the square, well, it says it's a square, so we know that that's going to be 44 centimeters as well. So it's going to be 44 times 44. And I can just do my quick grid to do 44 times 4 times 44. There's going to be a lot of 4's involved in this. So 44 times 44. 4 times 4 is 16. That's therefore going to be 160. That's also going to be 160. And that's going to be 16 with 1, 2 zeros. When we add those together, we've got okay, so that's going to equal 6. 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 1 is 13. 6, 7, 8, 9. And we've got that 1 there. So the area of the square is going to be 1936. Okay, now we need to work out the area of the circle. So let's do that down here. Area of circle. Area of circle is pi r squared. So that's going to be pi times, the radius is the half distance. Okay, the diameter is the full distance. Well, the length of the square is going to be the diameter of the circle as well. So we halve that to make 22 centimeters. So it's going to be times 22 squared. So I'll need to do another grid. Let's do that. Let's do that underneath. Okay, so 22 times 22. 2 times 2 is 4. That's going to be 40. That's going to be 40, and that's going to be 400. Add those together. You can probably do that without the column addition. 4 plus 4 is 8. then that 4 there, so 484. So that's going to equal 484 pi. So, to work out all of the side bits, so this one, this one, this one, and this one, we take them away. So total area is going to be the square, which was 1936, take away the circle, which was 484 pi. Now without a calculator you can't work that out, but that's fine because the question says that it's going to be in terms of pi. So we need to do the total area divided by 4. That's what we want to do, because there's 4 equal chunks and we only want one of those chunks. So we need to do each of the numbers divided by 4. So I'm going to do long division for this. So we want to divide the 1936 by 4. 4's go into 1, they don't go into 1 at all, so carry the 1. 4's into 19, well I know 4 times 4 is 16, so that's going to be 4. And that's going to have 3 left over. 4's into 33, I know 4 times 8 is 32. And 4's into 16 go 4. We're going to do the same with the other one. 484, so that's going to be 1, 2, 1. So when I do it, I end up with 484 minus 121 pi. Nice and easy, maybe not. So let's put the answer in here, 484 minus 121 pi. And that's our answer. Okay, if you want to pause the video now, please feel free, otherwise let's get started. So, simple solve first, and whenever I have a solve, I always put lines down where the equal sign is. I find it a lot easier. And we are going to first of all expand the brackets. So I'm going to do smiles and rainbows on this. So we end up with 4x minus 40 equals x plus 2. Okay, now notice I've got x on both sides. Okay, now whenever I have x on both sides, I look at the x's and see which one's the smallest. Looking at those, the 1x is the smallest, so I'm going to take away the smallest, and I'm going to end up with 3x minus 40 equals 2. So then I'm going to add the 40 to both sides. Okay, because at the moment that 40 is a negative 40, so I do the opposite of that, which is plus 40. I'm slightly running out of room here, so I'm going to put my answer up here. I do another set of lines. Okay, so we're going to end up with 3x on the left hand side equals, and then 2 plus 40, which is 42. Okay, then I've got this 3 here, and that's actually a times 3. So to get rid of it, I need to divide both sides by 3. So I'm going to divide the left hand side by 3 and the right hand side by 3. This leaves me with x. And now I've got to work out how many 3's in 42. Well, I know 3 times 10 is 30, and I know 3 times 4 is 12. So the answer is going to be it's going to be 14. Okay, I could put that 14 back into the equation up here and check that it works, but probably I'd do that if I had some time left in the exam. Okay, let's go on to the next one. So I'm going to do the same thing again and put my lines down. Okay, we've got a fraction here. Now, whenever we have fractions, we can't really do anything with this fraction here. Now all that fraction means is divide the whole left hand side by 3. So to get rid of it, we just need to times both sides by 3. And that will get rid of the fraction. The top stays the same, we don't times the top by 3. Okay, by timesing it by 3 we've got rid of the bottom, but the top stays the same. And 1 times 3 is 3. Now we've got a tricky one here, we've got a negative y. So I'm going to deal with the 11 first. So I'm going to take away 11 from both sides. And that leaves me with minus y equals 3 take away 11, which is going to be negative 8. Now something I can do here is I can times both sides by minus 1. When I times both sides by minus 1, it gets rid of any negatives. Well, it switches the signs. So if I had an 8 on the right, it would turn into a minus 8. But they're both negative, so it's just y equals 8. So my answer to that is y equals 8. Now what I could have done at this stage here is I could have added the y to both sides and then taken away the 3, and that would leave me 8 equals y, which is the same as y equals 8. It's just a matter of preference which one you choose to do in the exam. Okay, if you want to have a go at this, pause the video now, otherwise let's get started. So, important to realise that we're looking for prime factors, but a lot of people miss out on this word here, product. Product means times, and we'll come to that in a bit. Easiest way of doing this is to do 88 and two things coming out of it. Now we're looking for primes that we can divide 88 by. The most obvious and the easiest one is 2, and what I do is I circle the primes when I find them. Now when I halve 88 I get 44, so 44 times 2 is 88. Now the 44 is not a prime, so I can't circle that, so I can split it up again and I can get another 2 out of it, and that leaves me with 22. 22 is not a prime, I can get another 2 out of it, and it leaves me with 11, which is a prime. So the prime numbers that we've got are 2, 2, 2 and 11. But you need to write it as 2 times 2 times 2 times 11. Some people actually multiply those together, but you should get 88 if you did that. One last thing to realise is that the question says write your answer in index form. So when I've got 2 times 2 times 2, I can write that as 2 to the power of 3 times 11. So it's going to be 2 to the power of 3 times 11. Okay, if you want to pause the video now, please feel free, otherwise let's get started. Now, what I like to do with this is split my page up a little bit, and I want to tackle each bit individually. So I'm going to look at the totals first. Then I'm going to look at the boys, and then I'm going to get the answer by looking at the mean for the girls. Okay, so the totals first. Now, what we need to know about the mean is that the mean equals the sum of the numbers, whatever they are, okay, because it doesn't tell us, divided by the amount of numbers, so the total amount of numbers. Okay, the mean for the total, so let's have a look at that. So we have 33 boys and 22 girls, and it says the mean for the total is 21. So the mean for the total is 21, and it says, well, we don't know what the sum is, so I'm going to call that T for now, over the total amount. So 33 plus 22 is 55. So T is 21 times 55. Now I'm going to have to do a grid somewhere to work that out. Let's do that over here. So we've got 21 times 55. 1 times 5 is 5. 5 times 20 is 100. 1 times 50 is 50. And 2 times 5 is 10 with the extra 2 zeros. So looking at that, that's going to be 1155. Okay, let's work it out for the boys as well. So like before, the mean is the sum over the total amount of numbers. Okay, so the mean, it says, let's have a look. Where does it say what the mean is? It says here is 19. So it's 19 for the boys. And let's do a B for the sum. I'll do a capital B because my little b's look like sixes. And it says that there are 33 boys. So B is 19 times 33. So we can do another grid. Not as pretty as the first one. We've got 19 times 33. 3 times 9 is 27. 3 times 10 is 30. 30 times 9, so 3 times 9 is 27, plus another 0. And 30 times 10 is 300. Okay, so let's just add those up. That's going to be 570. Let's do the working out for fun. So that's going to be a 7. That's going to be 12, and that's going to be 6. So the boys' total is 627. So the girls' total is going to be the total's total minus the boys' total, and I'm just squinting across. And so let's do that. 1155 minus 627. Okay, I need to nick one off that. So 15 take away 7 is 8. 4 take away 2 is 2. Nick one there. 11 take away 6 is 5. So the total is going to equal 528. Okay, so the mean, I haven't really left myself an awful lot of space here. So the mean is 528 divided by 22. And so now I've got to work out my 22 times table to get there. I know 22 times 10, so 10 lots of 22 are 220. I know that 20 lots of 22 are going to be 440. And I know that 4 lots of 22 are 88. If I add those together, that will be 8,528. So it's going to be that 20 plus the 4. So the answer is going to be 24. Now there are other ways of doing this question. What you can do is have a look at the pull of the boys and the pull of the girls from the mean. So if you assume the mean is going to be in the middle, but that sadly is the only way that I can explain without going too in depth. The questions on the website, the numbers are a lot easier to do this for. This is a worst case scenario question. Okay, well I hope you found that video helpful. If you enjoyed the video, please click like. If you really enjoyed the video and want to see more, please click subscribe. Remember, this paper and loads more are on the website where we do topic busters. So if you're not very happy at a specific topic, there are quite a few different topics on the website and we're building them more and more over time. So if there are any problems at all, please leave a comment and I'll try and get back to you. Thank you very much.